Mnemonic here, back once again with another episode of The Tea Drinker. Now, in my last video, I was looking at luxury premium teas, and that's a theme I'm going to be continuing in this video with a selection of teas from Fortnum and Mason. For those of you who don't know, Fortnum and Mason is a luxury foodstuffs department store in London. They brought the attention to the world of Heinz baked beans and tomato ketchup. So they're kind of a big deal in London. And they're quite renowned for their tea selections. So we're going to be looking at the famous tea blends and classic world teas. Now, I've done something on classic world teas before with Whittles of Chelsea, so I'm going to see how Fortnum and Mason's kind of compare. So let's have a look at what we have. So, first of all, we have Assam. Now, Assam's kind of a sort of rich, malty flavoured tea. So I'm looking forward to very deep, rich flavour here. Next we have Ceylon Orange Pekoe. Ceylon, of course, old name for Sri Lanka, so these teas are Sri Lankan in origin. Orange Pekoe, I think, is a form of grading teas. I think it's related to William of Orange. It's not to do with anything of taste. I think it's something to do with the Dutch East Indies. Not entirely sure of that. And now we have a Darjeeling, which is a broken Orange Pekoe, which is a slightly different grading, I suppose. And here we have a Russian Caravan. Russian Caravan, another favourite of mine, quite a smoky taste. Good. And we have the Lapsang Souchong, which is, of course, another smoky flavoured tea. So, and there's another one in here, it's just Assam again, so we're not going to look at that. So, there's 5 teas there. And in here we have the classic tea varieties. We have breakfast blend. We have the royal blend. So, looking for great things here. We've got the Queen Anne blend. We've got the smoky Earl Grey, which probably has a bit of the Russian Caravan taste to it. Hopefully looking for good things with this as well. If it combines the taste of Earl Grey and Russian Caravan, that's 2 of my favourite flavours of tea. We have afternoon blend. And we have the Earl Grey classic. So hopefully lots of citrus notes and lovely tea. So we're going to kick things off with the first 5, the classic world teas. So we've got 5 different flavours here. So let's set up the cups, brew the kettle, and go in for the aroma test. Okay, so we've added the hot water and we've been brewing for a couple of minutes now. The colours are all quite dark, so that indicates that they all sort of have a black tea base. So they're all sort of a very dark brown colour. The Darjeeling is slightly lighter in colour. It's sort of more reddish brown. The Russian Caravan quite dark. And there's a lovely smoky smell coming off of it immediately. The Lapsang Souchong as well, not quite as dark as some of the other teas, but a shade darker than the Darjeeling. There's not really much to differentiate these in terms of colour, but the more it brews, the stronger the smoky smell of the Russian Caravan's getting. It could be the Lapsang Souchong because that's quite a smoky tea as well, but odds on that it would be the Russian Caravan. So I'm going to set up my camera and go in for the taste test, which is always my favourite part of the video because I really like my teas, and we'll see how Fortnum and Mason compares up to the other tea varieties that I've tried. Let's kick things off with the Assam. Now I know from experience that Assam usually has quite a malty flavour. Oh, that aroma straight away, malty, deep richness, almost chocolatey. Lovely, lovely smell coming off of this tea. So let's give it a taste. It's rich, it's smooth, it's malty. This is the sort of tea you'd want for a relaxing afternoon tea party. Slight bitterness in the aftertaste and a bit of a dry mouthfeel afterwards. That's not a bad thing because it's quite a smooth initial mouthfeel, and again it's got a richness, it's got a chocolatiness and a maltiness. This is a very good Assam. I've had quite weak Assams in the past that kind of overlook that maltiness, and that's a bit of a crime when it comes to an Assam. But that is a nice, deep, rich Assam taste. Okay, next we have the Ceylon Orange Pekoe. Quite a spring kind of taste, almost soupy, very fresh. It's sort of the smell you'd associate with the colour green, I think. Sort of springy, soupy, sort of salady kind of smell. Slightly floral as well, so like a kitchen garden kind of smell. Sort of kitchen garden in spring. Let's give it a taste. It's quite strong, good solid cup of tea. Not really getting the taste what I'm having the aromas of, but it's a good, strong, solid cup of tea. There's nothing I can fault with that. That is, it's just tea. It's just a good cup of tea. No after effects. No masking flavours. It's smooth. It's lightly astringent. Good cup of tea, that. Okay, now we're going on to Darjeeling. Darjeeling is usually quite a lighter tasting tea, I've noticed. Good sort of herbal aroma. Again, quite sort of meadowy, quite springy, quite fresh. Little hint of floral in there. There's a lighter smell compared to the Assam, which was sort of deep and rich. It's sort of a bit more oomph, sort of a bit more up there. Again, if I had to associate the smell, there's sort of a green colour, but it's a sort of darker green than the Ceylon, I'd say. That's got quite a deep taste, almost coffee-like. It's quite strong. Smooth, with a little astringency on the aftertaste. It's quite rich, but not as rich as the Assam. So it has the sort of the richness of the Assam, but the sort of meadow sort of smell of the Ceylon. So it's sort of halfway there. So very good cup of tea. Okay, now we're going into one of my personal favourites, Russian Caravan. Quite dark in colour. The smokiness with that is actually quite subtle. Not as strong as it can be. So let's give it a taste. The smokiness is there, but it's more of a sort of natural sweetness. It's sort of not quite campfire, more like burnt flowers. There's sort of almost honey quality to it. There's sort of coffee kind of quality too. There is a hint of sort of burntness to it, but it's not as smoky tasting as some of the smoky caravans I've had in the past. And finally we have the Lapsang Souchong, which in my experience also has quite a smoky taste and aroma. Now this smells a lot more like campfires than the Russian Caravan does. This has a really smoky sort of post gunpowder, sort of post ignition type smell. It sort of smells like the aftermath of a fireworks display. Let's see if it'll have fireworks in my mouth. It's quite a smoky taste. Even more so, like again, it has even more of a smoky taste than the Russian Caravan. That is let me just check that this is actually the it's the Lapsang Souchong. I thought I'd switched the bags around by accident, but no. It's definitely more smoky than the Russian Caravan, but it has a sort of very sort of light sweetness, a sort of I can't explain it. It has a sort of sweetness in the aftertaste, almost honeyed, and it has a very deep sort of charcoal base notes that are coming through very strongly. Whereas the Russian Caravan tasted more like sort of burnt flowers, or sort of a meadow being set alight in spring to burn off the stubble. This is definitely sort of charcoaly, sort of fire, the embers of a fire, most definitely. Okay, so that was part one of our look into Fortnum & Mason's tea. That was the Classic World Tea selection. So I'm going to set up again for the famous tea selection box, and we'll have a look at those, see how they differentiate, also the differentiate between the famous teas and the Classic World teas. So I'll be back in a minute with part two. Okay, this is the second part of our look at selection of teas from Fortnum and Mason. This is the famous teas variety pack. We've added the hot water and we've had them brewing now for a couple of minutes. They all kind of look a bit uniform. There's not really that much differential in the colour, except maybe the smoky Earl Grey is a slightly more reddish colour than the others. All the others are sort of a sort of chocolatey, malty brown colour. And there's not really that much of a differential in aroma either. I'm just getting that sort of standard earthy tea vibe aroma, but maybe when it comes to the taste test we'll get a bit more of a difference between them. So that's kind of the first look at these famous teas. To be honest, I wasn't really expecting much of a difference because you know, I think they're all sort of a black tea base, so I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference. Maybe on the Earl Greys there'll be a sort of a difference in the sort of taste and texture and aroma, but well, who knows, I've been surprised before. So let's set up for the taste test and see what these Fortnum and Mason teas taste like. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with the breakfast blend. Let's have a whiff. Quite springy, quite fresh, slightly floral. There's a sweetness to this. There's a sort of earthy teeness to it. It's sort of the sort of thing you want first thing in the morning, I think. Oh, it's quite astringent. There's a bitterness there. This is the sort of thing that'll kick you out of bed in the morning. It's strong. That is a strong cup of tea. That's quite substantial as well, so definitely something you'd want first thing in the morning. Okay, we're going on to the afternoon blend now. This is a sustaining tea, something to keep you going till the evening. So again, quite a floral, subtle, there's a subtle floral aroma, but it's got that springy, meadowy earthiness too. This is a lot smoother than the breakfast blend. It's not as strong. It's still got a bit of a kick to it. Still a bit astringent, bit of bitterness there, but it's quite smooth. This isn't so much as a kick as a push to get you through the last bits of the day. So I don't drink tea with milk in it, so maybe that would affect the taste a bit. So, you know, I take my tea au naturel, so there'll be people out there that do drink it with milk, and that would of course affect the taste. But both of those quite good, strong, sustaining teas. Okay, let's try the royal blend now. There's again, quite earthy, springy. Quite smooth, not as astringent as the first two. Definite sweetness to this, even without sugar. The aroma's not so floral. That's a good every time tea, I'd say. We're going into the Queen Anne blend. Quite appropriate these days since The Favourite came out. Good old Olivia Colman. Shout out to Olivia Colman for winning the Oscar there. Well done. So, Queen Anne blend. Again, just your standard tea smell. Quite smooth. Quite smooth. Tea aroma. Pretty standard cup of tea, but like I said, I do like my tea, so I wouldn't turn my nose up at this. Nice, smooth, not as astringent as the other teas. Whereas the sort of the afternoon was a bit of a hard push, this is kind of a gentle push, like on a swing when you don't want to fall off. So, or a light summer breeze. So now we're moving on to the Earl Grey. We've got the Earl Grey Classic. Nice purple stripe on it. I've noticed a lot of people associate the colour purple with Earl Grey. I've noticed that on like lots of packaging for like Earl Grey, they usually use a sort of purple colour on it. There's the fruitiness of the bergamot straight away into this. Hopefully it's not too soapy tasting, because sometimes that can be a problem with Earl Grey. They put too much bergamot in the mix and it ends up tasting very soapy. Yes. I was afraid of that. That does taste rather soapy. Otherwise, it's a very good cup of Earl Grey, but the bergamot taste is overwhelming in this, and it ends up tasting like the bergamot taste is too strong on that. I think you need to have a balance between the tea and the bergamot. If not, again, it tastes like washing up liquid, really, which is kind of disappointing. So last one of all, the smoky Earl Grey. Yep, definite smokiness to this. I'd wish that the Russian Caravan I tried in the other part of this video had been as smoky as this. It's not sort of campfire smokiness. It's more sort of barbecue smokiness. There's a sort of meatiness to it. Sort of barbecue scent, like barbecue sauce. That kind of smokiness to it. This is actually better than the classic. There's a nice blend of flavours in here. You've got the smokiness, you've got the subtle bergamot taste. It's not overwhelming. And of course, right at the base notes you have the tea. So, like I said, I was prepared to be surprised by this. So that's the famous tea selection from Fortnum and Mason. A little disappointing, to be honest. I was expecting a lot more from such a renowned company. The Earl Grey Classic tasted a bit soapy, and the other blends, you know, the royal blends, the breakfast and afternoon blends, did taste a little too formulaic. You can't really tell the difference between them, if I'm being honest, but thankfully everything redeemed by the smoky Earl Grey. Lovely smokiness, but to saying that, lovely substantial tea flavours. Just you know, if you're going to buy luxury teas, you want something a little bit more, and that was lacking in this particular variety pack. However, with the other variety pack, the sort of the Teas of the World variety, I preferred that to the classic teas, probably because there's a bit more sort of differential in taste and sort of mouthfeel and not exactly quality, because they're all quite good quality, but sort of you had more of an expectation of there to be something different. whereas the famous teas, you can't really tell the difference between them. Okay, that was my look into Fortnum & Mason teas. I'm going to put some links down below so you can go and explore for yourself. Like I said, I don't drink tea with milk, so maybe that kind of would affect the taste a bit. You know, but you know, it's up to you. You're the ones who are going to be trying this at the end of the day. I'm just reviewing it. So yeah, that was another episode of The Tea Drinker. Thank you for watching. I've been Sid Mnemonic, and I will see you again in the next video.